Apple claims that this new camera control is an easier way to access your camera tools. And as a photographer and videographer who actually gets hired to shoot a lot of stuff on my iPhone, I bought the iPhone 16 Pro to see if that's true. I've only had this phone for a couple hours, and I already have quite a few thoughts about this button, some good, some bad, and I have an idea of how to improve this button to make it work better for you. So this new camera control button is on the side of the phone. It's below the lock button. So if you're holding it with your right hand, your thumb can't quite touch it. And if you're holding it with your left hand, maybe your fingers on this hand can reach it. In my past few hours of using this phone and trying to figure out how this button works, I found I've had to really rearrange how I hold the phone. And to access that button, it's a little awkward and not how I would normally hold my phone. Watching the keynotes leading up to the release of this phone, I kind of had this feeling that it would be awkward to use in vertical, and I thought maybe Apple's really trying to push people to use this phone in horizontal mode. So if you are using the iPhone 15 in horizontal, the button also is not quite in the most ideal spot. I don't think that I'm going to be alone or the only person saying that this button is in an awkward position, but I do think I found a solution for how to make this button work for shooting photos, and I'll share that with you in a minute here. Aside from photo and video features, Apple said that they put this button on the side of the phone to use Apple Intelligence. Well, I have the iPhone 16, I have iOS 18, and Apple Intelligence is nowhere to be found. Because I live in Canada, this feature is not going to be available to me until December at the earliest. I'm a little bummed that I'm on the latest operating system and I got this brand new phone and I can't use most of the features that Apple talked about in their keynote until later this year. For the past few years, every time Apple has an announcement or releases a new product, there seems to be a few features that don't get released on the day the hardware comes out. And Apple Intelligence is no different. It is a little bit disappointing. I can wait. I am patient. However, I do hope the features that they have promised are as good as they say they are. Other than the Apple Intelligence features, this button is used for capturing photo and video. This button is a button. You can press it down, but it's also touch sensitive. So you can lightly touch it or lightly double touch it to access some of the features and menus. Because of the placement of this button, I find it difficult to lightly double press or even scroll between the menu items. Maybe my thumb's not trained for this, or maybe it's just in an awkward position. The menu items that you can switch between are exposure, depth, zoom, cameras, styles, and tone. All of these tools are already available to me on my camera screen while shooting. This is just another way to access them, I guess. Over the past few years, computational photography, like what the iPhone does, has got so good. Apple has trained me to just point my phone at stuff and not really deal with the settings or adjust anything. Yeah, sometimes I need to tap to focus or swipe up and down to adjust exposure, but I'm not really using many of the settings that they're offering me right here on a daily basis. At least not enough to create an entire button for these purposes. But who knows, maybe the way that I'm gonna take photos and videos on my phone is going to change, and maybe that's because of this button. Like I said earlier, I think I found a way to make accessing this camera control button easier, and that's a Popsocket. A Popsocket just mag-safes to the back of your iPhone, it pops up, and it gives you a way to grab onto your phone a lot easier. Because your fingers now have something to grab onto, it's much easier for your thumb to touch this button. What I like about Popsockets is that if you don't need it, you just collapse it, your phone goes pretty thin. And if you don't need it at all, you can just easily detach it. It's just magnets and your phone's back to normal. I'm currently working on a longer form video for the iPhone 16 and its cameras, so if that's something you want to check out, feel free to subscribe. Thanks for letting me spill the gravy, and we'll see you in the next one.